Well, the topic of school choice has been debated in every county and every state pretty much across the country, and proponents of school choice say that, well, it gives them a better choice of education that's more tailored to their child, their children, people in their community, and so on. Opponents of this say that, well, it's kind of a funding issue. Those school choice states generally have funding taken away from public education, and there's a real imbalance there, as long as some other things, including religious affiliation and discrimination that has been alleged in those cases. Tonight, the Biloxi Superintendent Marcus Boudreaux will be here speaking tonight, as well as State Representative Zach Grady. And just from the information that's been given out at the table here as people are walking in, it looks like a resounding no right now. They cite multiple things, which we'll have the details for later tonight at 10. But for now, live in Biloxi, Tyler Bell, WLOX News Now.